right, good afternoon, everyone. This is John McElizek from Golden Care. We are about to get started here. It's currently 1:02, and I know we'll have some people filtering as the day goes on, as they get reminders of this event. But I'm excited today to kick off a 6-part series on our new Life and Annuity Resource Center, or LARC program. This program is designed to provide a fresh perspective on the role that annuities and life insurance products can play in your business. We feel it's going to have a bunch of useful resources if you're a veteran in the industry, or if it's going to be a great introduction if you are new to the business. We are excited and happy to have Sean Ruggiero, the President of Advanced Market Sales and a Managing Partner at Integrity, to join us today. Sean's focus is on helping customers, agents, and agencies with retirement readiness through the use of evolving fixed index annuities. Sean's the author of The 7 Benefits of FIAs for Retirement. Retirement is a roller coaster. Are you prepared to enjoy the ride? Sean's focus on helping consumers, agents, and agencies with retirement readiness through the use of evolving fixed annuities, and in providing an expansion in education with agents, training software to help them better serve Americans. With that, Sean, I will turn it over to you.
Okay, thank you very much. I believe I unmuted myself, and hopefully you can see the screen here. We've got the presentation, How to Grow Your Business This Year. Now, I'll admit that is a very broad and generic statement. The funny thing is that we actually had the original presentation was double your income over the next 12 months. As compliance goes, right? They said, hey, I don't like that you can't say that. I said, well, how about triple your income guaranteed, right? And they said, hey, that's not funny. But my point is, I want the title of this presentation, I want the impact of this presentation to have some weight. We get invited to a lot of webinars, okay? I've been in this business for 23 years. My recollection, my history with webinars is they all have some value, right? You take out of it what you put into it. Our attitude and how we approach things is very much top of the list of how beneficial a webinar can be. But far too many of them focus on product features, right? They focus on here's the new product and A to Z. It's like almost reading an instruction manual. One of the things that I have the blessing and curse of, and I think the former outweighs the latter, is that I am you. I started in 2003 as a licensed agent, trying to pay my bills, right? Trying to do whatever I could, hustling. In fact, when I started my insurance company, I started it with health insurance, property and casualty, life insurance, annuities. All right. Now, I actually got to the point where me and my business partner discovered that we were making more in annuity commissions, which really doesn't have a lot of touch points. When you compare it to, say, something like property and casualty, I'll use that as an example. Property and casualty, we bought a new car, we got in a wreck, we have a new driver, we moved, things change all the time. And the commissions were actually quite low. Medicare, right? And Golden Care, is this a fair statement? Golden Care, their primary function, their what I call core competency is the Medicare business. Is that an accurate statement?
I believe so.
Okay, yeah, I'm assuming that is an accurate statement. That's the primary or the core competency role for Golden Care, and that in itself is its own animal, right? You have to build a relationship. You have to build trust. You have to be touching them once a year, once every 2 years, making sure that you're finding the best solution for them. And they tend to be very tight relationships that you can discover with that and have high retention levels. But we discovered that we were making more in annuities than we were in property and casualty for the whole year. more annuities in 1 month than for the whole year, more in annuities and life insurance sales than we were for health insurance. So we sold those aspects of the business, and we became laser focused primarily on life insurance, secondarily on annuities. That was a big one for us. And then we added securities licensing. Okay, and I'll talk about that for just a second. So what I'm here to say is I understand your core competency. I understand what it's like to be an independent agent. I understand the roller coaster, the highs and the lows, right? I've had, large sales, and I drove 3 hours to go get the sale, and then an hour and a half later, I'm at a rest stop and I get a phone call and they say, "Hey, we want to hold off and everything." I understand the loneliness that this business can create. Like, you got to feed your family. You've got to keep going. You got to keep pushing. This is a difficult industry, but it is a highly rewarding industry, especially if you put the customer first, right? It alleviates a lot of that stress. People can generally find out if you are trying to sell them something or trying to help them. And so I'm a big believer in helping people. Everything I do is customer centric. And I know, because I have documented proof, that the system that I'm about to show you, the system that we at Brokers International have worked with Golden Care to deploy and develop to you. This is a very exclusive system that you can't just get anywhere, that Golden Care is going to be able to provide for you, that truly will show you how to grow your business over the next 12 months. And I'm going to show you how. I'm going to walk you through the steps. So a little bit about myself. Not a big fan of talking about myself, but my wife says, "Hey, Sean, you need to grow up." And so I will share a few things with you. And there's a reason why. Okay. So yes, as was stated, I am a managing partner at Integrity Marketing Group. And I'm very proud of that. That means I took something from nothing. I grew it from 2013. And in 2019, I was an early acquisition through my company, Family First Life. I was an early acquisition of Integrity Marketing Group. I did have a RIA. I still carry a securities license. I carry a securities license, a CHFC, a CEP, an RACP, a WMCP, an NSSA. I'm not bragging. I'm going to get to that. But I learned a ton about financial products, and here's why. Because I was you, right? I was you. I would go into a home and I would help clients with a certain need. For me, it was life insurance primarily. That was our Trojan horse, right? That's what got us in the door. And I would sit there and I would ask clients very personal questions. I would ask them about their health, their medications, their income, right? I get their driver's license, their social security number, and they would willingly give this information to me, just as they give it to you, as long as you're sticking with your core competency, whether it's life insurance or med sup or med advantage or whatever that might be. But the second I would transition to an annuity sale, I would get a feeling of inadequacy. Okay. And here's what I always say. I always say that my insecurities, of which I have many, my insecurities led to my securities licensing. And so I felt that even though I was a very good salesperson early on, I had to sell. I was hungry. I worked hard. I would relate to people. I would put them first. I would try very hard to get them the right solution. And then I would get the reward of the commission and the satisfaction of making a sale. And I knew how to sell annuities. I knew they existed. I knew there was a lot of reward. There's a big commission on annuities. That's a fantastic thing. You can help clients out. I believed in them. But I felt that if I brought an annuity solution, if I started asking about their 401k or how is it performing, there are all these really bad, brutal segues that I've seen over the years, there were three basic problems. Problem number one, I wasn't very confident asking. Problem number two, the client wasn't comfortable answering. Keep in mind, this is the same client that willingly gave me their driver's license, social security number. They told me that they're taking Viagra. They told me their income, like they gave me everything. But when I said, "Hey, how's your 401k performing?" they clammed up. They're not comfortable with that. And then the third thing is this: was I licensed? Was I licensed to be asking questions about securities? We want to be compliant. And everything I teach, and you're going to see a great deal of repetition, but I want you to be confident and compliant. Confident and compliant. And those two things feed off each other. And that's really the key ingredient. So my insecurities, because I felt that if I brought up an annuity, let's use that as an example, that there was a gal or a guy that this client worked with who had an alphabet soup behind their name. They were a financial advisor, like a true financial advisor, and, not the easiest certification to get or the easiest license to get, that would laugh at my annuity. They would laugh at it. So what did I do? I went out and I gathered a ton of information. Like I said, I was insecure. I hated going into a home and not knowing the answers. So I learned everything. I got a securities license. I started my own RIA. I got all these certifications and designations, and I learned. And then what I found, and what I will be sharing with you on this presentation, is that when it comes to a fixed indexed annuity, when it comes to an index universal life or permanent life insurance policy, there are benefits that are of extremely high value to the clients you sit down with that no other financial product can match. So what I'm doing is I'm not bragging about all my education. I'm saying I learned this. I found the resolve. I've found the solution, and I'm going to imbue you with that confidence. And that's a pretty cool thing because it fast forwards you to a place of confidence and compliance where you can go out and ask the right questions and you can find success. And that's how we're going to double that income. Okay. Yes, I am the author of 7 benefits of FIAs for retirement. So sometimes when people say, well, what do what do you know about FIAs? And I said, well, literally, I wrote the book on it, right? So one of the best sellers on retirement income, retirement readiness, retirement preparation, and execution, and a fantastic book. I'm not promoting the book. Heck, if you want one, let me know. I'll send it to you free. But I've done my research. I know what I'm talking about with that. So enough about me. An important notice. Brokers International, Golden Care, all of Integrity Marketing Group, any of its affiliates do not provide tax, legal, or accounting advice. The material that I'm presenting to you today has been prepared for informational purposes only. It's not intended to provide and should not be relied on for tax, legal, or accounting advice. You should consult your own tax, legal, and accounting advisor, and your clients should be doing the same before engaging in any transaction. And this is not for consumer use. This is professional use only. So you're going to learn a lot of things that you're going to present, but I'm just telling you that this presentation is for you all. And we normally distribute this through, so Golden Care will send you out a copy of this presentation so you can reference it if you have any need to recall what we are discussing. So let's get started, and I'll go through this fairly rapidly. Can you really grow your business? Can you really double your income over the next 12 months? This is a resounding yes. And here's the cool thing about it. It's the same license you already have. Now, I'm making an assumption. I have worked with a ton in my new role here as Chief Distribution Officer for Brokers International and working directly with Integrity Marketing Group. I have worked with a ton of Medicare agencies, and the vast majority, almost to a man, and I don't mean that in a sexist way, I'm saying almost to a man, as the turn of phrase goes, they have a life insurance license as well as a health insurance license. So that same life insurance license, making that assumption, making that leap of faith that you have a life insurance license, no new leads. Right. I always say this isn't a Tupperware party where I'm now going to ask you to buy in and invest so you can start your own business. There's nothing to purchase. It's the same clients that you already service. The ones you sit down with today, the ones you've sat down with yesterday, and the ones you'll sit down with tomorrow. Those are prime candidates. In fact, they're the candidates that, frankly, financial advisors would probably kill for, to have all these people who have assets at age 65 or getting ready for retirement or are in retirement. So Golden Care is going to show you how. We're going to show you what Golden Care is set up and how you can double that income. So we're going to start by taking a 1,000-foot step back, a 1,000-foot view. We're going to zoom back out, and I want to stress something that I think is very important, and something that I don't think we discuss or understand or even contemplate enough or at all as insurance agents. This is an industry that is commission based. This is an industry that is a very high turnover rate. 80 something percent of agents who get licensed are not around by the time their anniversary comes around, right? Being self-employed is tough. And the number one reason why agents fail is they're bad at being self-employed, right? I've had agents who tell me how desperate they are to get licensed, make money and everything like that. I'm trying to support them and help them. And I even help them buy leads. I would spend hours training them. And this might resonate with some of you. And then the second we're going to go get started, they tell me, well, you know, I did promise the family that we're going to take them to Disneyland. And they're gone for 10 days. And then there's another delay. And then their mother's sick. And I think, my goodness, I'm from Seattle, so I think of, you know, Microsoft or Costco or Boeing. But I think, could you imagine taking a job at Boeing and then saying, you know, I'd love to get started. Thanks for the job, but I'm going to be gone for 2 weeks because I promised the family. Like, people are bad at being self-employed. It takes discipline, not great feats of valor, not huge efforts, but the greatness is in the grind. You just got to be committed to working, heck, and sometimes 30 hours or less, but doing it on a consistent basis. That's why it becomes a really good job, because it can pay well, but you just got to stick to it. And then the other big problem is we get siloed, right? Do you understand what I mean by that? We get focused on one aspect of what we're doing as an insurance agent. Now, I want to give you some perspective, okay? If I asked you, what does a sixth grade English teacher do? You would answer, you would say, oh, they teach English to sixth graders or teach English at a sixth grade level, okay? Great, it's easy to understand. Now, let's go with something I don't understand. I don't understand how diesel engines work. I think there's some sort of wizardry or you know, gremlins in there or something that makes it work. I once was told that they don't have spark plugs. So I can throw out that factoid like I'm smart. Like, well, you know, a diesel engine doesn't have spark plugs. The reality is I have no idea how they work. But if I were asked, what does a diesel mechanic do? I know the answer. I know that the diesel mechanic fixes diesel engines, rebuilds diesel engines, modifies diesel engines. They work on diesel engines, right? That's what they do. But what does an insurance agent do, right? Well, see, far too many of us focus on an insurance agent as, say, life insurance only. Life insurance only is where we protect people's human capital. Your human capital is your ability to do, learn, and earn, right? When I was 20-something years old, I had zero financial capital, but I had a lot of human capital. I was healthy, I was fairly intelligent, and I had a lot of time to take that finite resource, that human capital, and convert it into financial capital. Now, we protect human capital with life insurance. If something were to happen to me, my human capital is evaporated. Now, I have a cash tax-free payout that goes to my family to compensate for my human capital. And some people, when they think of an insurance agent, that's what they think of. That's what I am. I'm a life insurance agent. I protect human capital with life insurance. But then other people, take, for example, a lot of people who are on this call, let's say you're a Medicare advisor. Well, you're going to be protecting financial capital. How is that? Well, it's because you're providing something to protect against healthcare overruns, very expensive, unknown costs in retirement. You're protecting financial capital because you're preventing some sort of spike in healthcare costs, surgeries, medications, things, whatever it might be, that would destroy their financial capital. But do you know how else we protect financial capital? With annuities, right? We can protect people's financial capital with annuities. And in an idyllic situation, what do? I think of my father-in-law, worked at Boeing for 40 years. He traded his human capital, that is your most valuable, most finite resource, in exchange for financial capital. Paid off houses, 401ks, Social Security income, pensions, right? That's what financial capital is. And at some point in our intersection where our human capital has waned, our financial capital is the superior asset, and we retire. but everybody's different. I've sat down with people. I think of a gentleman who was 81 years old. He had COPD. He was in Caldwell, Idaho. You probably have no idea where that is. And Caldwell, Idaho is a very agricultural part of Idaho. And he was still working in a cheese factory. And as long as he worked, he brought in a paycheck. He still got his Social Security and he had a retirement. But if he died, he had nothing. So his human capital never converted over to financial capital. So every situation is different. But here's what I'm telling you. If you want to truly be successful as an insurance agent, which is what you are, which is the license that you have, you need to focus on all aspects. And that's what I'm going to teach you to do. And it's very simple. And I'm going to teach you a one-question sales system. And I'm going to show you what Golden Care has set up, this exclusive life annuity resource center that you can take advantage of. And you can double your income. You can triple your income. You can grow your income. That's my compliance statement. You can grow your income over the next 12 months. All you have to do is commit to saying, yes, I will absolutely do this. And Sean is going to show me right now exactly what that is that I need to do. I'm going to give you one analogy before we move to the next slide. I'm a big football fan. I've coached football. I played football all through college. I love the sport of football. If someone said to you, you can start a team and you can have the best running quarterback, the best running backs, 3 deep, the best offensive line, the best blocking wide receivers. I mean, no one's going to be able to run the ball better than you. But there's one caveat. The caveat is that you cannot pass the ball. You can only run the ball. How many games do you think you're going to win in a regular season? The answer is probably zero, right? Isn't that crazy? And that's what I'm saying. If you're only focused on the run game or only focused on the passing game, you're going to minimize, if not dramatically reduce, the amount of success that you can have as a life insurance agent, as an insurance agent. So I want to show you how to use all aspects of your license through the system, the LARC system, Life Annuity Resource Center that Golden Care has set up. And by teaching you this one question, what I call the golden question sales system, which I'll start on. Give me one moment. I'm still coaching. We're in spring 7-on-7 for football. So my voice in the weekends gets a little bit torn up there. So I talked about confidence and compliance. Confidence, compliance. I want you all to be confident with fixed index annuities, and I want you to be confident with permanent life insurance, specifically IULs, which an index universal life is a form of a very intelligent form of permanent life insurance, whole life insurance. So I want you to teach you these things, and you're going to get a copy of this. But will you please write this down? Those of you who are truly serious about doubling your income, write this down, okay? Remember how I said I was insecure and I went and got every certification? Well, not everyone, but I got this wealth of knowledge and all these security licenses. I own my own registered investment advisory firm. And I learned that when it comes to fixed index annuities, the 3 things I'm going to point out here, a fixed index annuity does better than any other financial product. There is not a single mutual fund, single stock, preferred stock, closed-end fund, buffered note, you name it. Nothing does these 3 things better when combined than a fixed index annuity. So let's know what these are. Stick to these 3 things that are highly valuable to people who are getting into retirement or retired, right? Preparation for retirement or execution of retirement. And you are providing something of value and you're staying compliant. So what are those 3 things? Number 1, a fixed index annuity eliminates market loss. Any money that you put into a fixed index annuity, any premium that you put in there will never go down because of the market again. Why is that valuable? Because we're in a roller coaster, right? There's war in the Middle East, the first land war in Europe since World War II. Inflation problems, tariff wars, fears of recession. What if there's another tsunami and it hits California? What if there's an earthquake in Seattle? What if we have another terrorist attack in New York? What if we have another pandemic? What if we have a shutdown of the Texas electrical grid? This all sounds like hyperbole, but if I told you in 2018 that there's going to be a pandemic, you probably would have laughed. What happened? People are fearful, and you have to put your mindset into someone who is 60, 65, 70 years old. right? How are they going to make that money up? They have to live off that money. They're not going to sleep well at night if they're watching Fox News or CNN and the market's tanking and there's fears of recession. So putting money into a fixed index annuity will never be affected by market loss, so people can sleep well at night. That's benefit number one. Now, that's not an exclusive benefit. You could put your money into a money market account, a CD, a US Treasury bond. All of those can still give you that same benefit. But let's add in benefit number two. You get to participate in the market gains. So when the index goes up, let's say the S&P 500, you participate in those gains and then they're locked in. And when the index goes down, you never participate in that. So what's my point? My point is that you have higher earning potential in a fixed index annuity than you do in any other guaranteed product. I'll give you an example. If you had a 50% participation rate in the S&P 500 and the S&P 500 went up 20%, right? It does that all the time. Like once every 4 years, you're getting 20% plus gains in the S&P 500, which is why I'm a capitalist. It's why I'm a patriot. It's why I believe in the U.S. stock market. It's why I still carry a securities license. I think a balanced portfolio is the way to go. But if you got 50%, that means that you got 10%, or if the market went up 24%, you got 12% locked in. When's the last time, and I was young, but I remember in the 1980s, the early 80s, when, yeah, CDs would pay 14%, but your mortgage rates were 16%, right? Hyperinflation there. When's the last time that you had a CD that paid 12%? It doesn't happen, right? A US Treasury fund doesn't pay 12%. So the potential you have inside an FIA is tremendously high, and those gains are locked in. And then the last thing is this. These are not your granddad's annuities. These are much more smartly built contemporary annuities nowadays. But annuity is still an annuity, and only annuities have mortality credits, and mortality credits make it exclusive to annuities that they can create guaranteed lifetime income for you, your spouse, your kids, however you want to divide it up. So I encourage you, write these three things down. You'll see I'm gratuitous. I repeat things on purpose because I don't want you to have 6,000 things to remember. I want you to have three things to remember. And if you're with Tom Fisher from Fisher Investments and you're in an elevator and he says, I hate annuities, which is just a marketing ploy, right? You should never say extremes or absolutes. I hate this, I hate that. That's BS. Everything has a purpose and a place, right? But if he says, I hate annuities, you can say, Tom, Sean Ruggiero told me that there is no other product that eliminates market loss, has the highest gain potential for a guaranteed product, and still can create guaranteed lifetime income. So why do you hate annuities? Does that make sense? And let me ask you this, everyone. Are these three things, if you presented it to your next client who's getting ready for retirement, are these three things of value to them? That is a resounding yes. Yes, these three things are. So don't go outside of this. Don't start selling things just on a bonus. Don't start doing the jacked up 10% backcasted gains and sell annuities off the illustrated rates. Don't sell off of conspiracy theories and say the US market is gambling. That's just not true. It's just not true. You don't have to do that. Stay confident and compliant in this box. Memorize these three things, write them down. Now, we have to do the same thing for whole life, for permanent life insurance, specifically IULs, which I believe are the most intelligent form of life insurance, whole life insurance, okay? So when it comes to these three things, those are exclusive to permanent life insurance, and they are of value to your clients. So number one, guarantees in retirement. See, you have to understand there's far too many TikTok videos out there, right? There's far too many TikTok videos out there which show you some licensed agent who's telling you that the government is going to raise taxes and you're all screwed and you better convert everything over to an IUL because it can provide tax-free income for life. And then you have some 55 or 65-year-old who decides to put their money over there and doesn't understand that there's still a heavy cost of insurance and fees inside an IUL that is then going to mitigate the amount of money that they can live off of. See, we can't defy math and physics. All right. An IUL can provide tax-free cash, but more importantly, you need to understand an IUL is a financial asset and a conservative one at that. It's an insurance product first, but it provides guarantees. See, so benefit number one is guarantees, guaranteed death benefits, guaranteed premiums, guaranteed cash values, right? Investments don't provide that. So if you had all your money in investment, I'll take Google, for example, and I'm proudly owning Google for a long time. I bought it way back when I lived in Seattle, and Google it has done great. But what if? What if Google tanked? As a common shareholder, do I have any guarantees? No. That's what they call them, investments. They have risk. Life insurance is not investment. It's a financial asset. It's a conservative financial asset, but it is something that provides guarantees, and guarantees are very valuable when we go into retirement. The second one, which I previously alluded to, is the tax-free cash and death benefit. But again, don't sell a 65-year-old an index universal life in the idea that if they put in money, they're going to retire tax-free. The math and physics don't work. They're too old. Their cost of insurance is too high. They do not have a long enough runway to build up the cash value to then take it out for the rest of their life. But that doesn't exclude the benefit that money they put into an IUL does have the ability to grow a cash, cash, if you will, right? A trove of cash that they can access tax-free. And more importantly, the death benefit is tax-free. And we're going to go over a couple of scenarios here just in the next slide or two, and then wrap it up. But I want you to understand that a tax-free death benefit is exclusive to life insurance. And it is hugely important, especially when we're talking about lost income when the first spouse dies, right? Things of that nature. Tax-free cash is best. And I want to tell everybody something right now from the bottom of my heart and make sure that it is impressed on you. If you go to a client and you say, take your 401k or your IRA, which is a tax time bomb, you always hear that, and convert it to an IUL, so now it's tax-free, you will go to hell, okay? And I don't want anyone to go to hell. Don't do that. If you want to convert an IRA to a tax-free vehicle, you should do a Roth conversion into an IRA or into an annuity with a bonus, like an FIA with a bonus. Never do it with an IUL. An IUL is great if they have a lump sum they want to pay in, or they want to make a 10 pay or something like that. Fantastic. It can build up cash. It has a death benefit. They have living benefits, right? And I'm going to get to that in number 3. But don't take people's 401ks or IRAs and put them into an IUL. And then benefit number 3, there are benefits to offsetting healthcare and long-term care costs. Now, I want to be really, really clear. Life insurance, for example, is not long-term care, but it has living benefits, things that if you cannot perform 2 of 6 activities of daily living, you can actually access the death benefit before you die to pay for your in-home care, to pay for your nursing care, and not destroy all of your financial assets. Now, there are some, John Hancock, for example, and I'm not trying to promote a single carrier, they actually have a life insurance policy that grows cash and has actual true long-term care benefits with the tax-free benefits on there. So that was lengthy, I apologize, but these 3 things, write them down when it comes to IULs, when it comes to whole life. They offer guarantees as a conservative financial asset. They offer tax-free cash access, and the death benefit is tax-free. And then finally, they can offer benefits in living benefits, right? That's what they're called, living benefits. They can offer benefits to offset healthcare and long-term care costs, because the vast majority of people you sit down with, and you sit down with a ton of them who are concerned about this, do not have a long-term care insurance policy. So now we're going to go through 2 scenarios, and then we're just going to open up for questions, okay? Thank you for your patience. Here's the first scenario. Let's look at Bridget. Bridget is 65 years old. She has $225,000 in an IRA. She wants to retire in 5 years at age 70, and she's concerned about living too long and losing money in the stock market. Well, how did I know that? I knew that because I am using something called the confidential needs analysis. And here's where I'm going to teach you that golden question. Okay, so you're going to write this down. You're going to learn this. And all this, I'm going to show you where to access it. Golden Care has set all this up in the Life Annuity Resource Center so you all can go double your income. But here's the thing. When you sit down with a client, you need to be asking them questions, right? And like I said earlier, you're asking them very personal questions: age, weight, medications, income, a driver's license, social security number, all that stuff, right? I want you to add, and it's in this section, it's in this life insurance section right here. I want you to add a life insurance section. Why? Because when I'm sitting down with someone, even if it's for a Medicare appointment, I'm trying to help get them the best fit solution at the lowest cost for their specific scenario. So I'm going to ask them, I'm going to say, Bridget, so I can get a full understanding, I need to know if you have any life insurance, because life insurance technically could have living benefits that pay you to offset long-term care. And by the way, one of the questions in here is long-term care, which I call it the near rhetorical question, because when you ask someone if they have any long-term care insurance coverage, true long-term care insurance coverage, statistically 96% of the people will say no, they don't. So I'm going to ask Bridget, I'm going to say, do you have any life insurance, term or whole life? Because you see, I'm feeding that out. And you see how that in itself is a sales opportunity. And one of the webinars that we're going to give for you with Golden Care is how to use the confidential needs analysis to unlock 7 sales opportunities in a one-page sale, CNA. Okay. So when you're sitting down with that client, and I encourage you, focus on the business that you're there to conduct. Conclude that business, but you're gathering those in the next steps through just asking questions. So getting back to this, I'm going to ask if they have life insurance. I need to know. I need to get a full understanding of their picture, because that could change what we do. And then I'm going to ask the golden question. Write this down. Bridget, do you have anything that acts like life insurance? Do you have anything that acts like life insurance, such as a 401k, an IRA, or an annuity, something that's going to go probate free over to your loved ones when you die? And what I'm really asking is, Bridget, are you self-insured? Think about that, self-insured. Ask yourself right now, ponder that. Are you self-insured? Here's the crazy thing. Remember when I said that I was not confident asking about people's 401ks and the performance of them, and do you want to buy an annuity? And they're not comfortable answering it, and I might not even be licensed to be asking these questions about their securities accounts. When you ask someone if they're self-insured, it actually tickles their ego. So if we look at the Freudian, I'm no expert on it, but the Freudian analysis that there's the id and the ego, people want to answer yes. I'll give you an anecdotal story. I have a friend he's not poor, but he's close to it, right? Wonderful guy, married, he has 3 kids. He owns a duplex. He lives in one side, he rents it out. If we were at a conference or if we were at a gathering and someone from the stage said, hey, who here has investment properties? His ego wants to say, yeah, I do, right? Now, in his mind, he's Donald Trump. He's a real estate mogul, right? The reality is he just has half of a duplex that he's renting out, but he wants to say yes. That's the ego. People will actually want to say yes if they do have it. Do you see how we 180 degrees turn something from that we were all uncomfortable with to something that we are comfortable and eager to answer? So ask the golden question that way. Bridget, do you have anything that acts like life insurance? And I always give suggestions: a 401k, an IRA, an annuity, something that's going to go probate free over to your loved ones when you die. Meaning, Bridget, are you self-insured? And now she's going to say yes. If she has it, yes. Just rough numbers, how much are we talking about? Oh, I have $225,000. Does that make sense, everyone? That's the golden question. And it's wonderful. And now, why is it the golden question? I'll get to that here in 2 slides. But that's the golden question. In this scenario, Bridget says yes. She has a $225,000 IRA. Now, as I said before, you're going to conclude the business that you're there to conduct. Legally, and correct me if I'm wrong, but legally, I think with Med Advantage and the Part C ones, they're very strict on you can't sell a different product while you're there. Doesn't mean you can't ask questions, and then later on, maybe you follow up the next week. Maybe you follow up after annual enrollment. I really don't care. That's up to you. You all are independent. You all are professional. But at some point I have to come back. And then I come back, and maybe it's next week, and I call and I say, hey, Bridget, when I asked you if you were self-insured, you said yes. You said you had a $225,000 IRA. Can I ask you a follow-up question? Bridget, is that money protected? Is your retirement protected? Now, if you've done a good job of leading, guiding, directing, being professional, building rapport, but not becoming their best friend, right? Does that make sense? We always take advantage of our best friends. We want to still stay in that professional driver's seat. But if we've done a good job, this is an intentionally ambiguous but not misleading question. So if I ask it and she believes in me, she's going to say something like, Sean, I don't know what you're talking about. Can you please explain? Absolutely. Bridget, we are one of the nation's leading providers of retirement protection plans. We use something called a fixed index annuity or an FIA to protect your retirement. Now, I know you hear the word annuity. Hold on a second, because most people are not understanding how these contemporary annuities go. This is not your granddad's annuity. This is something that is much more smartly built, like I said, much more contemporary. And it does three things, Bridget, better than any other financial product out there. Now, I'm not going to repeat these because I told you what they were earlier and I asked you to write them down, but does it make sense? The gratuity, the repetition? I'm going to stick to this box, this powerful element that has these three benefits. And I'm going to say, Bridget, we use an FIA because one, it eliminates market loss. You won't lose sleep again. You're going to participate in market gains. You have the highest earning potential of any other guaranteed product. And three, like I said, it's not your granddad's annuity, but it's still an annuity. And only annuities have mortality credits that can give you guaranteed income for life. So Bridget, if any of these three things or all of these three things are of a benefit to you, then what I suggest is that we meet again next week, same time, and I'll go over some solutions for you. Now, Bridget's going to say yes or no. Like I said, if you've done a good job and she's believing in you, she's going to say yes. And then you're going to set up that meeting. If she says no, I'm going to tell you right now, move on. Your time is too valuable. You do not want to make annuity and life insurance sales arduous. You want to make them peaceful and beneficial for all parties. Respect your time and let it go. Okay? So that little side bit right there, what do we do next? See, asking that question, having that confidence, that compliance is one thing, but the biggest roadblock might be what we do next. See, do I just randomly pick a carrier? Which one do I pick? I don't know. Do I even have a login? Am I contracted? How do I run the illustrations? Which product I use? Doesn't this seem like an absolute hot mess? You don't know where to go next. That's where Golden Care has given you the solution, right? They're going to take you to the Life Annuity Resource Center, which will be linked to their website. You click on the Life Annuity Resource Center, and we have a training specific to this, so I'm not going to go into it, but there's the annuity training where I do an 11-course training with Q&A, little quiz questions. It only takes 88 minutes, and you're going to get a little certification. It's not a FINRA recognized certification, but you're going to get a certificate of completion, and I promise you're going to be very confident and very compliant. So imagine me teaching you for 88 minutes on everything you need to know with annuities and how to sell them and how to use that golden question. Then we're going to have the same thing for life training. And then you see that financial inventory that I told you to use, and it unlocks 7 opportunities, including the golden question. Boom, boom, boom. You see this system that Golden Care has put up? You've got it. But now you just click on the Ask a Specialist, and a secure end-to-end encrypted form comes up, and it brings you all the questions that they need. You fill them out to the best of your ability. We realize you might not know some of this information. Don't worry. Most of the drop downs are, I don't know. But you give as much information as you can. You hit submit, and the internal team, who has thousands of reps, who has the designations, the certifications, the securities licenses, is going to come back with the best fit scenario that you can choose from. Okay? Like, hey, we think this is a good fit, and here's why. And why is that important? One, we did all the back office work. Golden Care took care of it for you. You did nothing, and it cost you nothing, right? That's number one. But number two, you're now compliant with the best interest laws, which are essentially in all 50 states. So you have documentation of why this product was chosen, which, trust me, if you haven't been in this business very long, it's only a matter of time before someone writes a letter to the state insurance commissioner, no matter how valid your presentation was, no matter how good a job you did, because people do funny things when they get desperate. All right. But now you have documentation. We store this and encrypt it on the cloud, and it's always available. Now, I don't want to go into great detail. It doesn't matter right now. But in this scenario, we gave them the Performance Pro from Fidelity and Guarantee. Now, this is a 15% cash bonus up front. So if Bridget puts $225,000, day one, it's worth $258,000. And then we put her in the S&P 500 with a cap. That means that she gets up to 6.5% in the S&P every year. And if the S&P goes negative, she gets zero. She doesn't participate in the negative. So this thing averages what, 4, 5, 6% over the course of a lifetime. At age 70, she starts taking out over $16,500. And by the time she dies, let's say she lives to 100, let's do easy math. She now has taken out 500 grand, and she still has $119,000 that she can use for long-term care. She can go take her new boyfriend on a trip to Italy. She can give the grandkids money for college. She can bequeath it to whoever she wants, give it to a charity. You get the idea. Very, very powerful. And we're sticking to those three basic things. She slept well at night. She knew she was getting large gains when compared to other, or potentially large gains when compared to other guaranteed products. And she can convert it to lifetime income, which she did here at age 70. So could you go out and sell this? Absolutely. And as everyone will attest to, the commissions are fantastic on annuities. They're fantastic, right? I'm telling you, it would probably take you 20 Medicare sales to get the same commission that you would if you sold that annuity to Bridget, right? And I want to stress this. The person who makes the most benefit from an annuity sale is the client. And that's what we're there for. We have to have a servant's heart, and we have to believe that we are doing the best thing for the client. And if you do that, you have a wonderful career. Outside of that, the person who benefits the second most is you, because of the commission that you're paid on that. It's fantastic. And then, of course, Golden Care will make some money too, but it's very slight compared to what you make and the benefit that we're providing the client. But we're being holistic. We're using all of our offense. We're using the whole playbook. We're not siloing ourselves to just doing Medicare supplement or just doing life insurance. I'm going to go through one more scenario, open up for questions. I apologize if this is taking a little bit long, but hopefully it's helpful. Let's look at Tom. Now, Tom is 65 years old. Now, Tom has type 2 diabetes. He's modestly overweight. His wife is 63, and she's extremely healthy. When we ask Tom the golden question, his answer is no, meaning he has no money saved up. He's not self-insured. He has a $0 in his IRA. And I want to stress, let's be empathetic. Do you think Tom at 35 years old said, my goal is to be dead broke by 65 and put my wife in a very precarious situation when I die? Absolutely not. So always have empathy, right? Servant's heart, have empathy. The good news is we can help Tom. We can help Tom. Isn't that cool? Now, when we go through the confidential needs analysis, we're going to discover that Tom is getting $2,000 a month of Social Security, and his wife, who is younger and healthier, is getting $600 a month. And he is concerned about losing spousal income, the unknown long-term care and healthcare costs, covering the end-of-life costs, which can be unknown and very expensive. And then he'd love to pass on money to his loved ones, especially his wife. So here we are again. This is the same form, the confidential needs analysis. We're going to ask the golden question. Tom, do you have anything that acts like your life insurance, meaning a 401k, an IRA, an annuity, something that's going to go probate-free over to your loved ones when you die? Meaning, Tom, are you self-insured? And again, you see, I repeat myself over and over again with the things that you need to know to make this work. Tom says no. We have a great deal of empathy. Tom, I totally understand. There's almost no pensions anymore. 401ks have been limited. It can be very tough to get ahead. But let me ask you something, Tom. Have you ever considered an IUL to supplement your retirement? Have you ever considered an IUL to supplement your retirement? Once again, if you've done a good job of building rapport, but not becoming their best friend, staying professional, leading, guiding, directing, he's going to give you an honest answer. And his honest answer is, Sean, I'm not real sure what you're talking about. Yeah, Tom, let me explain. We use IULs to supplement your retirement. Okay, and an IUL or Index Universal Life Policy does three things better than any other financial product. First, and again, I won't go into these in great detail, but this is why I ask you to memorize them. First, they offer guarantees in retirement, right? Tom, investments don't have guarantees. You could lose all the money and it's gone, right? You need financial assets like an IUL that are conservative and have guarantees, like guaranteed death benefits, guaranteed premiums, and guaranteed cash values. Second, they can offer tax-free cash that you can use, and it's a death benefit that's paid out tax-free. And then third, you said you had no long-term care insurance. Well, guess what? This also can be your long-term care insurance solution. It's an alternative. It's not long-term care insurance, but it has benefits to offset healthcare and long-term care costs. You can actually access the death benefit while you're still living and not take away the financial assets that you might have from your family. So if this is of interest to you, let's book an appointment in 1 week. Now, why 1 week? Because when we go to the Ask a Specialist and submit this, they're going to send you back the carrier, the product, the illustrations. They're going to check to make sure you are contracted. If not, they're going to give you the link to get contracted. They're going to give you a narrative on why they picked this and how you should sell it to Tom. They're even going to include videos that help you get up to speed. So here's what I'm saying. Book that appointment for 1 week so you have some time to prepare. And if you're serious about doubling your income next year, then you will prepare. You'll watch the 40 minutes of videos because you care. You care about Tom. You care about your professional career. You care about and take pride in feeding your family and building a retirement for yourself. And here's the cool thing. The very first time, you're probably not going to be great. You're probably not going to get the sale, whether it's an annuity or an IUL, if it's something that you're not familiar with. But then the second time, there's less that you need to study. You're going to see that the same scenarios repeat themselves over and over and over again. So invest in the beginning. And by the time you get to your third or fourth one, be it annuity or IUL, it's going to be old hat. You're going to be very comfortable and you're going to start selling them. And that's how we grow that income. But book that appointment for 1 week. Now, what came back, right? The professional team with Golden Care in conjunction with Brokers International is going to come back and they're going to say, hey, here's the product. This product here is technically the Mutual of Omaha IUL Express, which he would qualify for. And we're going to present this to Tom. Hey, Tom, for about $8 a day, you're going to get a $100,000 death benefit day one. It has the potential to build cash value. It doesn't require any exams, so no blood, urine, no fluids, no attending physician statement. And it has critical, terminal, and chronic illness riders, living benefits. So Tom, if you are concerned about end-of-life healthcare costs, you can actually access that $100,000 before you die. Right? Pretty cool. And anything you don't use is going to go on, carried on to your wife or to your kids. So we have taken care of the long-term care need, right, with the living benefits. Whatever he doesn't spend passes to his wife or his kids, and it does build cash tax-free that he could use for an emergency. But more importantly, let's look at that lost income. Do you know the Social Security rule? If we have two Social Securities for people who qualify for spouses, and the first spouse dies, the second spouse keeps the higher of the two Social Securities. Well, that's great, but she just lost $600 a month. And unfortunately, the Social Security Administration does not give her a card that says, hey, my husband died, a gallon of milk is now half price. Or I swipe it at the gas tank and my gallon of gas is half price. Or I give it to my landlord or the mortgage company and now they only charge me half my payment. That's not how it works. So you can see why, according to the Boston Institute of Retirement Research, says that 1 of 6 women, because women outlive men, 1 of 6 women fall below the poverty line when their spouse dies. You can do something about that by using this IUL. Tom was destitute. Tom at 65 had no money saved up, and he was concerned about all these things: healthcare costs, his wife's income when he dies, or even passing money on the children or taking care of burial benefits. With one policy at $8 a day, you just satisfied that solution. And guess what? You made a nice, healthy commission because you deserved it. That's how we double our income. So here's the steps. Number 1, download that confidential needs analysis. And by the way, I encourage you, watch those 2 videos that are set up, the video training, the the annuity and the life training, please watch those. Gain more confidence in what you're doing. Teach yourself. Be hungry. Go out and aspire to do more. Secondly, ask that golden question. Do you have anything that acts like life insurance? Every single time, don't let anyone intimidate you or rush you. Third, submit all your scenarios to the Life News Resource Center, to the Ask a Specialist, because they're going to take care of that back end work and let you focus on your primary core competency. And if you do that, your goal, and this is what you'll achieve, is you're going to write one annuity per quarter at least, and you're going to write one IUL or whole life policy per month, right? Think about that. Do the math on that. That's how, with the same license, without bringing in any new clients or any leads, just knowing this golden question and using the system, the Life and Annuity Resource Center that Golden Care set up, that's how you're going to double your income. So I know that was a bit lengthy. I apologize, but hopefully it was engaging enough. I'm going to go ahead and open it up for questions now.
Again, thank you so much, Sean, for that presentation. That was great. A lot of information in there. A lot of simple things that we can do as agents to help grow our business and in other ways other than through Medicare and things like that. So if anybody does have any questions at any time, feel free to write those in that questionnaire as we go. And as we're looking to do those in finalizing this, don't forget next week we have Tim Cooper joining us at 1:30 Central Time. In the second part of the series, we're introducing the confidential needs analysis with a full tutorial illustrating how to use information to unlock sales opportunities. And all those information can be found on the Golden Care Agent website. For those of you who haven't been on there yet, I'm going to just take this, go back to me. I'm going to show my screen. Let me just see, make sure I have the right one. Yep, the right one there, Golden Care Agent, right, everything, the live training schedule. If you click on that link right there, there is everything that we have going on this month alone. You can see there's so many things that you can learn on a regular basis. But next week, we have that exclusive training again with Tim Cooper.
Right. Excellent. Any questions?
I don't see anything popping in right now.
Okay. Well, feel free to email us, right? You can get in contact with myself or with Tim if you have any questions, but I appreciate your time. I know that's a lot. I know you all are busy, but hopefully it was beneficial. And I'm telling you what, I've done this for 23 years. I've built the system from the ground up. Golden Care is deploying something that is proven to work, and they're offering you everything you need to succeed. So I encourage you, go out, follow those steps, and you're going to make a big difference for the clients that you serve and for your families and those people that depend on you.
Yep. Thank you so much, Sean, for your time today. And again, thank you everybody for attending. We wish you guys the best, and hopefully we'll see you all next week in part 2 of our 6-part series. Thanks again for attending. Appreciate your time.
Thank you. Take care.
Take care.